All right, so now is kind of the final thoughts for between these two. So I guess the big question is, if you were buying one of these, we have the Typon, which the map price on this one is $499, and then you have the Radix, which this one goes for $479.
$479.
Yeah, so it's a $20 difference between the two, so really not much.
Well, I can right away say there's some downsides between these two. This car, the downside is with these tires, it's a little bit less grippy on our surface. These tires handle a little bit better. That's a minimal difference. The downside to this car that I can see, taking durability off the table, because we don't know that right now, battery tray is a little small.
Yeah, that's a huge issue for me.
That's what I mean. This is a big downside. I mean, look at what
yeah
happened.
Look at this.
You know,
we already have the battery.
Less than ideal.
It's not a good tray.
For comparison and contrast, this 6S pack will not fit this car.
Yeah,
we had to run 4,500.
And that's a problem, because that's what I'm running is 6L packs, which is the tray on the Arma is perfect. I don't know.
I believe the Arma tray is actually slightly oversized.
Yeah.
On purpose. That we can actually run smaller packs in this with some foam inserts and it'll be fine.
Yeah,
this
exactly.
This car doesn't have that luxury. Smaller packs are all you can run.
This one's adjustable in height and it's adjustable on width because it's open on the back side. So you can run whatever size you want on this one.
What I do like though, on this car versus this car, is I do like this feature here.
Yeah,
I do like this pan.
Yeah, the pan goes all the way to the back here.
Like
if you take a look at that,
very good at keeping dirt out of getting in here.
Yeah.
Now look at this is open. You got your leads exposed. Potentially that's an issue.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll ever hit that, but it's possible. This one has a much better chassis pan setup, if you ask me.
Yeah.
More of a square setup versus the tapered setup.
Yeah, I think that's my big issue. It comes, by the way, with XT90, which is nice.
For some of us old school guys who haven't gone over to IC5 yet.
Yeah. I guess the one issue here, which I can see this, why people are mentioning this, you have the non-adjustable steering links. And I mean, it would be optimal, but as kind of Corrali said, you can always change those. They have that part available. I'd like to see it on it out of the box. I mean,
in reality, as an RTR basher,
yeah,
it doesn't need that tunability. It drives straight, it tracks straight.
Well,
the one thing that will be the telling factor was the durability of the camber links here.
So
that will tell me whether or not it actually needs to have some kind of metal camber links and tow rods.
I mean, I personally, for me, if you're buying a buggy, I think you're racing it. That's my thoughts. You're putting it on a track.
Now here's a very good comparison and contrast here. Let's talk drivetrain, okay? I like the fact that these both have metal all the way around. Of course, they both do. They both have CVDs in the front, but they have dog bones in the rear. I don't see the rear being an issue though. And it looks to me like, believe it or not, the Arma dog bones are thicker than the Corrali dog bones.
They are, definitely. You can see it's at least 1 millimeter thicker.
And I believe you have bent some of these on the Typon before.
I have.
Yet to be seen.
Yeah.
Whether or not this is a stronger metal or not.
Yeah, exactly. And I think those are the concerns, because when it comes down to it, the question is, which one would you buy over the other? I mean, just off of just my gut, reaction of what we were just driving, absolutely the Radix, it just felt way better.
To me, I dug this better.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I actually like the radio better now that I had it in my hand.
Yeah, the trigger felt a little bit cleaner.
It felt smoother.
Yeah, it felt smoother.
More tension. I don't believe this is an adjustable. No,
yeah.
Neither of them are. They're RTR radios. You can't expect that. But we still powered up.
Okay. No, not.
I didn't want to hit the trigger if we were.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a little bit more tension here, right? A little bit more springiness to it, which can be good for some drivers. Not everybody prefers that though.
Like what I said on there is, it almost felt like the difference between the electronics, that the Radix felt like it was censored, and it felt like this one was sensorless to me, almost, in a way.
I think this has a little bit more of an abruptness to when the throttle comes on.
Yes.
When this is dead stopped and this is dead stopped, excuse me. The Radix, however, seems to me like it's a little bit smoother on the throttle.
Yeah, for sure.
This is smoother. Now, I don't know if there's a throttle dual rate setting in here. I don't believe there is. There is a steering dual rate here. That is all the way up right now, and it seemed like it was fine.
Yeah, I could definitely see.
There is a throttle trim on this, but no dual rate.
Yeah. This one felt very touchy on 6S. I was only probably at 50% or less the entire time.
I never gave it full beans anything.
No, I couldn't. I mean, you can't put that power on the ground. It was just getting loose if you did. But if you're managing that throttle, it felt really good.
That's what I mean, is I like the way that it had that. It seemed like there was more variation. It was easier to be smooth and consistent with the Radix.
Yeah.
Just bone stock. Now, that can be always changed and adjusted by setting your punch settings, ESC settings. Also, aftermarket radios can do a lot for that, dual rate and whatnot. But yeah, pound for pound, Radix is kind of winning on that.
Yeah. So let's do a concise conclusion here. So I'll ask you your concise conclusion first. What's your thoughts on the Radix and the Typon? Which one would you buy and why?
Realistically, right now, personally, if this was going to be my first purchase of an 8th scale RTR, I'd probably go for the Radix right now. Now, that's only because I have the experience with them. It looks to me like this car is more set up for track use. This is not set up for the bashing as much as this is. Now, that could just be your personal setup. This seems like this is a little bit more willing to take the jumps a little bit. This seems a little bit lower of a stance, handles a little bit better. To me, this I can do better on the track. Yeah. And that's what we primarily do. Now, if I was high flying it, wanting to, you know, launch the car 50 feet in the air and flat pan it all day long, I'd probably get this car.
Yeah, but the question that though comes up, if you're really trying to do that, if a buggy is even the best option, because
it's not. But I'm just saying, if that was what I was gonna do, if I was gonna just bash it and I was looking at, you know, launch the car long jump style, this would be the car, because I know that there's aftermarket parts available, shock towers and braces for that are way beefier than even this. Yeah. If that's not your goal, and your goal is to just have fun around a small local track, this is the better car in my opinion.
Yeah, and a track like this. So this is a small track. It's not very wide. Our lanes are maybe what, 5, maybe 6 feet at best.
Yeah, we're talking 3 cars wide, if that.
Yeah, I mean, typically we're chasing each other anyways. We're not racing, so we're just doing it for fun. We're not being competitive. But my conclusion is pretty much consistent with yours. Just my instinct is the Radix felt better to drive. It felt funner.
I dug this car. I was amazed. Yeah. I fully expected this to not be as good as the Typon, because I've driven this before. I know what this feels like.
I did as well.
I put some stick time in this and immediately went, whoa, this is better than I thought. Well, this is pretty good.
2 weeks ago, I didn't even know that Team Corrali existed.
I was in the same boat. I knew of them, but not that they even made this. Well, I knew they made a 10 scale racing buggy, but that was it.
Yeah, no, I didn't know I personally didn't know their name. And then when I saw their bashers, I was like, that's literally copying model for model every Arma that's available.
I immediately assumed was this was just a knockoff Arma.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was going to be a knockoff, but it feels different. The electronics feel better. My main concern about this one, and again, time will tell, on the Typon, this thing is a beast. I think I've ran probably 10 batteries through this. I have bent pretty much every single one of my dog bones or CVDs. It's beat up right now. So
let me ask you this quickly. Speaking to durability, have you ever bent any of these shock towers?
No, I haven't. So these ones still look nice and straight on front and back.
Look at the dirt and the impacts. They've taken some hits.
Yeah, it's taken some beating. This thing has not broken compared to my, Creighton over here. I've broken, I think now.
I've bent your shock towers too.
Yeah. So I've gone through 2 shock towers. Now I have the M2Cs on there. I've bent all the dog bones. I've broken multiple eyelets.
Well, granted, we're driving the Creighton way harder. That's a true basher. That's getting 60 feet of air and landing wrong when we fuck up.
True.
These 2 cars are different styles of driving, in my opinion. And when I say I want to get a buggy, it's because I'm not going to be bashing to that level of Creighton.
I think it's for this right here. This track that we have going is exactly what you want this
for. Right now, my money, I'd buy the Corrali. Yeah. After driving them. Now, if I was unexperienced with this, I'd go with this just because I didn't know about Corrali. Yeah. And I think that's the problem. People don't know about Corrali. They're sleeping.
Well, and that would be my other concern is, like, for me, I like the Corrali, and as long as the shock towers hold up and everything else holds up and they don't break, and I can put 10 batteries and abuse it, flipping it on its lid, because I'm not a great driver. I'm an okay driver.
I think we're both about the same level as far as that's concerned. Yeah. We're not pros. We're just out here having fun.
As long as I'm not breaking stuff all the time, then yeah, I would go with the Radix if that's the case, but time will only tell. So we'll have to get out here and run this thing and see how it does. So to wrap it up, kind of, I think the Radix wins on this contest over the Typon. And this is the Typon V5, by the way, because you can see it's got the Firma. So this is the latest version, and this one is the Radix V2.
I believe you have the EXB, I forget what this plate is called too here. Factory,
yeah,
which is an upgraded part.
Yeah,
this doesn't have that feature, but I don't think it's going to come into play. I don't think you're going to need that.
Yeah, I mean they're different cars, so they have a bit of differences between the two, and even the layout. If you just look at it, it's different. You have the motor ESC, the way it's mounted up. I think it definitely changes the way that it flies, because one thing I was noticing, that I was able to change the direction in the air a lot easier on the Radix compared to the Typon.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this has better, the Corrali has a better balance to it. If you look, the weight is kind of squished. This one is kind of more spread.
Yeah.
The weight is kind of more centralized.
But it also comes in the fact that now I have to buy new batteries for this thing.
Well, for your applications, being that you're coming from running this car, trying to run this car, yeah, your 6S packs aren't going to fit.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that can't be modified.
Well, it doesn't look like it, because I don't have any room off of the front or back. But you have all kinds of room here. Only if
now, you have to cut these ears off, slide the ESC back. I mean, you could make it fit.
Yeah.
If you really, really wanted to, you could make it work. What I do like about this chassis pan, again, I mentioned this earlier, is this here, but look at this extra motor clearance.
Yeah.
If I wanted to put a 6-scale motor in there and speed run this car, I got tons of room. You don't here.
Yeah.
This is way farther
you
back.
do have a little bit of room there, but not as
like
much.
You do here.
Not as much.
Not like
yeah.
you do here.
Not as much.
And if you notice the centralization of weight, look where your motor is versus this motor. You look where the center gearbox is more center here. This is kind of more to the back. Now that plays into the balance and the way it flies through the air. This car flies pretty flat.
Yeah, it does fly flat.
This car, however, I have so much more control in the air. If I come off the lip wrong and I'm nose down or nose up, I can fix it quickly. This one, not so much.
Yeah, and that's one of the issues I've had with the Typon, is that it does fine if you brake and you want to bring the nose down, but if you are nose down and you need to bring that ass end, you need to bring it up, you can't.
Honestly, the only time I've ever been effectively able to do that with this car, because let's just take it for what it is. We've nosed down it quite a few times.
Yeah.
I have to gun it all the way, full trigger,
exactly.
and then it'll just barely flatten it out. This car, if I full trigger, the nose comes up, you're hitting the back end.
Yeah.
This car, not so much.
Yeah. So I mean, and I think that's one of the things too, is like, if you're a newer driver, I don't know if the Radix is the greatest car for you, especially if you're going to run on 6S.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. I believe if this is going to be your first 6S car,
and you want to run it on 6S,
you're going to crash at that too. You just are. This might be a better option for you if you can spare the beans.
Because this thing is taking punishment, and I love the Typon. It is an amazing car. Since I've had it, I haven't touched my Creighton.
I've noticed that. I remember your Creighton was the go-to car. Now it's kind of just collecting dust.
Yeah.
But I think the Corrali's giving your Typon a run for its money in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll have to throw it on 4S. I think
we'll try that next and see what happens.
Let's get some footage.
You want to get some running in?
On it, yeah. I want to try it on it. I'm gonna see how this thing does.
You can get the GoPro mount on it.